Hi, good evening, everybody. Welcome here, Tropical Nomad. Every Monday, 6:30, we go live. We're a bit early, which is good. So, as you know, Speak Up Monday has been going we started about 4 years ago, and this is episode number 346. So, it's been quite a few episodes, and as you know, the first Monday of every month we devote to health. We call it the Future of Health, Conversations That Matter 2023. And in a minute, we're going to introduce our panel, which is curated by Health Hub Bali. And Tracy is the founder who's sitting next to me. And we're going to get into that in a second. But tonight will be an episode. So if you're interested in health tourism, so as you know, here in Bali, we have a special development zone in Sanur where there will be 3 international hospitals built. If you didn't know, now you know. So what we have is medical tourism. We have wellness tourism, which everyone I think knows Bali for wellness, yoga, and so on and so on. Eat, pray, love. And in the middle is health tourism, which is connecting them both. And that's where Health Hub Bali comes in, which is about how do we create solutions which are able to fill the gap between those two, wellness tourism and medical tourism. So tonight we're going to talk about baselines that really do matter. And baselines, for those of you who know, I've been saying before, for the DJs amongst us, it's got nothing to do with those kind of baselines, but they are critical. Critical to health, critical to preventative medicine and preventative health, which we're going to get into tonight. So if you're here in Bali, maybe you've just arrived, maybe you've been here for some time, tonight you're going to get some really good information on where to go, some diagnoses and how we check those baselines to give us some indicators as to what's happening in your body. And in a second, we're going to let the special expert guests introduce themselves, starting with you, Anastasia, who's going to give us a little bit more about the preventative model, I'm sure. But look, if you have anyone that is here in Bali that are or interested in health tourism, medical tourism, or wellness tourism, what I really recommend you do is to forward this after tonight's episode, forward this to them so they get a better insight of that health tourism model. And that's what we're focused on tonight. So let's start by having our guests introduce themselves firstly, starting with you, Anastasia. And then what we'll do is that we'll loop back around and you can give us a little bit of an intro into tonight's show.
Thank you so much to having me here. My name is Anastasia Mikhailova. Previous, I was a radiologist. I've been working 5 years in an oncology hospital as a radiologist. So I was actually looking at the cancer every day, every working day. And after 5 years, I decided to shift into preventative medicine. So because the work I did, it was just constant, the fact, and I couldn't change it. So, and through my own experience, I will tell about it later. So basically, right now, I'm a certified nutrition, diet and nutrition practitioner, and also study laboratory tests in functional medicine. So I really adore to look at the blood, feces test, urine test, and tell you what's going on there and how to actually prevent the diseases later, how we can improve our health state, and with the right diet and right steps, we can actually do that. Yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. And over to you, Ricky.
Okay. Hi. My name is Ricky. I come from Jakarta. Actually, this year is my first year living in Bali. I just moved here from Jakarta. And I'm an IT engineer, actually. But my background has been always in healthcare. So I work with a lot of hospitals in Jakarta over the last 15 years. And the last 7 years, I was introduced to this concept of functional medicine back in Jakarta. So we have our the first functional medicine clinic in Jakarta, And after about 3 or 4 years, I became fascinated by functional medicine. So I decided to study about nutritionist as well, about nutrition, and I become a nutritionist as well since like 2 3 years ago. And then having COVID, uh, I feel that the best place to be in is actually in Bali to study more about wellness and functional medicine. So yeah, I just packed my bag and then moved here. That's the story.
Great story. Before we move on, and I know we're going to get into this later on, but I think it's nice to keep people together and not to lose people. So when you say functional medicine, can you give people a little definition of what you mean by that?
You want me to explain a bit? Okay. So, functional medicine is the science of discovering root cause in illnesses. So there's a big difference between conventional medicine and functional medicine. I know because I work in hospital, and the owner of the hospital also owns functional medicine clinic. So the biggest difference is this: if you went to see a doctor, most often you will explain to the doctor about the symptoms that you're having, and doctors will give you medication based on the symptoms. But more, if you go more deeper than that, actually there are root causes that is causing the symptoms to appear, and this root cause basically it's not that easy to find. And functional medicine doctors, they use advanced diagnostics to find that the root cause of the problem. And even in Jakarta, we have a lot of tests that we have to send to overseas, like to US, or the nearest one is Malaysia or Singapore. But most of this advanced testing, we don't have it in Indonesia, in Jakarta especially. Yeah.
Thank you, Ricky. So if you pass that microphone to Tracy. So Tracy is the founder of Health Hub Bali. If you can maybe introduce yourself a little bit, and then we can move on with tonight's show.
My name is Tracy, and what would you like me to say? I'm pulling together
a background on you, Tracy.
Okay. What I'll have to say is that I've been here probably a decade now in Bali, working, connecting people to better health. But the thing is, people learn what's happening in their body, but where do they go? So that's why we need the doctors, the centres, the clinics, the hospitals to actually understand whole health. And then we can empower people by these type of educational programs. People need information so they can make their own choices in health.
And look, so Health Hub Bali, Tuesday talks. So tonight we will probably touch the surface of things that you want to go deeper on. So the Tuesday talks at Health Hub Bali, you can find it on Instagram as well. And on Tuesday talks, you go a bit deeper. Is that correct?
Yeah, so we have a series of talks. We've run certain pilots. So the last year we're connecting the experts that are here, but as Bali's what would you call a transitional type place, we've got to go with the flow, and we're gathering the practitioners that actually understand the different subjects. The subjects we're talking about is detoxification, what deficiencies are, Anastasia knows gut health, things like this. So it's connecting that. That's a series of workshops basically. But on Fridays, which is something new that we're having, is that more of a market day where ones say like Ricky can bring his testing, he can do mineral testing, and we can explain these things and already have places there that you can straight away understand a little bit more what's happening in your body in a live way. Also the supplies that you need to get better.
You know, one of the things, so we started this 11 months ago. This is number 11, or about 10 months ago. And I remember that one of the first episodes was about why are people sick, right? So we're living longer, but the quality is diminished a great deal. And I know that you wanted to, Anastasia, to maybe start us off with this, if that's okay. You know, what are you noticing or recognizing at the moment in terms of the people which are coming to you? What are their symptoms? What's going on at the moment, in your opinion?
Thank you for your question. Actually, what I see right now is a lot of autoimmune conditions, which can be at really young age, like early 20s, early 30s, and mostly girls. And the triggers probably might be viruses, might be severe stress that everyone right now going through. And for sure, there are many different complaints about gut health, bloating, severe tiredness, and when people cannot wake up in the morning after even long-term sleep. So then I need to understand, like, why, yeah? And for sure, there are many different complaints about, like, skin and hair loss and, like, weak nails and I don't know, cellulite and overweight. So there are many different complaints. But there, I think the huge people, there are many people that come to me right now comes with thyroid problem and autoimmune conditions. And yeah, did I?
Yeah, you did. So again, the question that comes up. So as you mentioned before, at the moment, this autoimmune disease symptoms are coming to you, and obviously we've just had or still going through this COVID virus. So are those two linked to maybe weakening the system that we human beings have, and is now showing up in that way?
Yeah, there's so many actually points that connect. We can start with the weak genetic. We can continue with the habits, everyday habits, nutrient deficiency, and also exposed by viruses and bacterial infection, which can trigger the gut health and can cause the leaky gut syndrome, which opens the bloodstream and lymphatic, which 80% of lymphatic system in our gut. And the space between the cells in the gut become wilder, and that actually provides the proteins from bacteria and viruses to go into that gut barrier, and then immune system recognize those proteins and tries to protect the body, which also increase the amount of antibodies. So, and when that became happening quite long time, the immune function start to attack our own tissues, and the thyroid tissue, which can, or the thyroid tissue, which can lead to the autoimmune Hashimoto, for example. Then, like skin, then it might create the vitiligo or arthritis. So the antibodies attack the joints. So depends where it goes. The diseases appear.
Just because again, some people here knew everything that you just said. Others are probably saying, "What? what? Didn't understand much." So it's nice as well, to really simplify it for me too. So let's do this because we want to give people value as well. So just a little, not little, but something that people can do at home, and we'll get into a minute why baselines matter. But that's also combined with this. But if you could choose out of the many things that you're coming into contact with, if you could choose, one thing that people at home could do, right? If it's, for example, a routine in the morning, something that they drink, exercise. If there was one routine that you found that can be tremendously important when it comes to dealing with some of these complaints that you're finding now, what would it be? And then the second part to that is, why do baselines matter and what are baselines?
Okay, to be honest, it's quite hard to say and highlight just one thing because there's so many important things as a water intake during the day to stay hydrated, the physical activity, the nutrients that we are getting from their food. So I would say probably sleep, the most important thing, because when we're resting and when we get enough amount of sleep, and also in the right timing, and also you getting the deep phases, that really balance your hormones, really balance your metabolism, also gives you a lot of energy, motivation, support the dopamine, serotonin, all these neurotransmitters that makes you be happy and proactive as well. So I think, and also detoxification, because when we sleep, what our body does, it cleans it cleans the body from all the cells that already get weak, yeah, and also detoxification, detoxification. Sorry. So I think sleep is the most important thing, because we have a lot of screen. It affects the amount of melatonin, the hormone that put us to sleep. And we have this habit of like using phone till really late night, or if we're busy with work, we're using laptop. But there are for sure tools that can actually reduce that screen exposure with the changing the light, and there's some tools for sure. But yeah, I think, and the question,
Yeah,
second question was,
so just to clarify, for those of you at home now on one of these devices, before you go to bed, stop it, right? Stop it, number one. And number two, I know it will vary from person to person, but how much sleep is optimal for human beings, would you say?
for kids, it starts from 9, 10, 11 hours. For adult, average, I would say 7 hours. But it's important to go bed before 11 p.m. Yeah. And and the other question was...
what's about baselines? So
Okay.
what are baselines and why are they so important?
When we're talking about baseline, I think we need to understand at first why we actually getting sick, why the chronic disease raises and become more and more problematic in our life. So if we have some parameters in our body, such as blood pressure, such as heartbeat, body temperature, which is in very narrow range, yeah, and it's like we have like average number of temperature like 36.7, for example, of body. But when we expose by different stress, these parameters change. So this is, and then after that goes away, body brings everything in the same range, yeah. So this we call homeostasis. But then why we having high blood pressure after 30 years, or like when we age? Why we have changes of these parameters? So, and the theory behind it is allostasis. So it means when our body exposed by, when the load become overload, it creates the disease and illness. And in long-term perspective, it can cause the atherosclerosis, cardiovascular problem, obese, and many other, for example, degenerative brain condition. Yeah. So, and then the second question, why it's happening? Yeah, why we have this? Why body cannot bring us back to balance? So, and the main theory behind that is the professor from the brain, Bruce Ames. He's a professor of biochemistry and molecular biology in California. He said when the body don't have enough nutrients, it I forgot the word. Oh, I have some just really good. So when body doesn't have enough nutrients to provide vital function, it distributes and redistributes them, but on the expense of long-term physiological health. So, anytime we do not have enough nutrients to support that vital functions, we actually paying paying later. Something else I wanted to say.
Yeah. So look, we've had a lot of you at the moment. So I know there's more left, but I just like talking to you. I really enjoy the answers, and it gives me another level of understanding around this topic around baselines. But Ricky, so for you, I can see you nodding away pretty much all the time. When Anastasia, she's like, yes, yeah, that's right. So look, what for you are important about baselines, and what kind of measurement devices or are there currently that can assist this?
Okay, so basically, I was taught by a lot of doctors back in Jakarta, and also we are in collaboration with functional medicine in the US. Basically, everything goes back to inflammation. So the body always fights inflammation, and the triggers for inflammation, the main triggers is divided into 5 things. It's very oversimplifying actually, but to give it an overview, the number 1 is stress. It's called STAMP, STAMP. S is stress, T is toxin, the A is allergens, the M is microbes or the gut microbiome, and then the P is poor diet. So there's only these 5 main factors that can create inflammation inside the body. And the more the inflammation is untreated, it becomes bigger. So it's like, they told me it's like this. It's like your body is always fighting fires. If it's a big fire, our body has a way of, fight the fire by increasing the temperatures, right, Doc? Increasing temperatures, probably. Those things, the fever, everything. But if every day there's small fires inside the body and the body has to keep on fighting those small fires, then it will not sustain. After that, the chronic illnesses will come. So STAMP, stamp, there's for each of this letter, there are actually correlating lab testing that can be done for that. For example, if we are talking about stress, then normally you can do like morning cortisol testing to check whether the cortisol level in your body is high or not. For the toxins, there are heavy metal tests that we can do. For allergen, we also have the allergy tests like the IgE, and then for microbes, also there for each of these there are tests that can be done, and we are working about it now in Health Hub Bali, basically to provide the least time consuming, the least amount of money that needs to be put out to basically get a very brief baseline of what is the patient's body is doing right now, and whether there's immediate action that we can take, or are there any other advanced testing that needs to be done. Yeah.
And coming to you, Tracy, before we do that, you can give the microphone, that's okay. So I won't mention the measurement device, but I went to Health Hub Bali in Pereiranan, I think last week or so, and I had, I think it's about 120, like a pen, right? And so it's like you have these temperature readings around your body, about 120 of them. We did it firstly, I think, at normal temperature, and then we cooled the room down, and we went back again and did the same readings again. Then this information was fed into a computer which has a specific software. And then what happened was that then Tracy got the results of that and then was able to come back to me and say, hey, Rob, in your body right now, these are some of the things you need to look out for. These are some of the things you need to pay attention to. These are some of the things which we can give you some solutions for. So I mean, that I've just had personal experience using it, and it was very easy. It was quite quick, 20 minutes, 25 minutes. And this software, this system has been, in certain cases, has been 6 months ahead of other scans to show you what's happening in your body, areas to look at, things to go deeper into to get a strong result. So, I mean, that's just some personal experience that I've experienced with some of these. But Tracy, what else is there in this area, and anything else you like to summarize and bring things together beautifully? So I'll leave it over to you.
Okay. So what Rob's talking about are indicators. Okay. So, but what happens with we're talking about the medical system and why baselines matter, because as a rule, people, they're fine, but what happens, like, they go to the doctor suddenly and they've got 2 months to live. And originally, like 11 months ago, that's what we uncovered. They're going along, but they don't know what's happening inside the body. So these baselines or testing, before they have to go to, say, radiologist for CT scans or MRIs and that's after an event. That tumour didn't happen yesterday, maybe 10 years ago. But in the process, what we're talking with functional medicine, we're looking at how you're functioning. If you've got dirty filters, we want them cleaned out so you can function better. You can sleep right, you can eat all the right food, you can do all those right things, but people get sick and they don't know why. But I've been doing all these good things. So this is what this model of testing and indicators that we look at whole health. We're looking at the last 2 panels we had on trauma and the impact on health. And there's ways to measure that, measure the brain, measure the way we sleep and that. Now, the data today, I had a meeting with somebody and there's certain rings now that they can measure what type of sleep you're having. So this personal data, the doctors through the world who are in functional medicine, they're excited about that. They can actually help people and then create a pathway for them. So we're saying here in Bali, we can educate this, how that works. We can get the testing so people can own their own health and then have programs to really get the toxins out. The issues with the COVID and what it's done to our bloods, our bodies, that we will discuss in May. We've got somebody coming on board next month. Another month we're addressing our environment and how that impacts our health as well. But tonight we're looking at, like, you get a diagnosis, what next? Well, we want to know what's happening so we can give you some intelligent actions. Otherwise, a lot of the treatments through the world, they're just overloading the liver, the kidney. They're not healing. We're talking about health. When there are no options, what next? What is a nice way to use, say, chemo? So there's immune modulating ways. There's a way to bring the life back into the body using science, the modern science we have.
I can see you want to say something?
Yeah, I just want to add that I think so many people that comes to me, they also say, oh, I went to see the doctor and all my tests are fine. I'm like, okay, let's talk. What is it? What does it mean, fine? So 90% of population falls into that range that that laboratory gives us. Doesn't mean sick you are or not, younger or age. Everyone goes into that range. For example, let's take some example of insulin. Insulin is a hormone that pancreas provides to open the cells and lead sugar to go inside the cells. So it's a main hormone that increases when we get weight. And what's happening? Like, the range that comes from laboratory starts from 2 till 15. So, and imagine one person has insulin 2 and other person has insulin 15. Are they the same? For sure not. And the optimal range should be less than 5, not 10, not 15. And that the main mistake that still practitioners do, and also some patients, when they do test themselves, go to the laboratory and they then they're trying to analyze themselves, those tests, and they say, oh, I'm fine. No, you're not, because you don't know the optimal range. So you can't understand and put all these pieces together and look into the health like whole. Yeah. So that's why I think this is important thing to think and to know.
And I mean, as you mentioned before, the people here, everyone's different, right? So I'm a Afro-Caribbean descent, right? Sickle cell trait, not sickle cell anemia. There's a guy over here from Germany. There's a guy over here from the UK, India. So this understanding that we're individual as well, right? So it can't be one shoe fits all. And part of what we've discussed in previous episodes is that, so what Health Hub Bali does is that it's a platform which is allowing you to claim better health for yourself, but by providing health coaches and by providing individualized patient journeys to specific practitioners for what you need, right? As opposed to one practitioner saying, I've got all the answers, right? Come and see me, I'll cure you of everything, right? Well, maybe yes, but I think people here would beg to differ. How can it be then that you can create a health journey using health coaches, which is then specific to you, that gives you your journey back to health? So that's a really important point that I wanted to bring up. And so while we're on this this health journey, so telemedicine, maybe you, Tracy, telemedicine, some people don't know what it is, so maybe describe what it is first. But what kind of role does telemedicine play in this whole part?
I think it empowers people that they can get like second opinions. They can also get advice because, as a rule, particular people, say like Anastasia, she understands things quite detailed in a certain way. I have another doctor who understands epigenetics, and they all look at things different. If I get 5 doctors together, so with telemedicine, you can work as a team globally, and then the person can make a choice about his own health as well, and he can get different opinions on the testing. So we get all the testings there, and then have someone, that's where the advocates or navigators can sit and listen, and then the doctors who really don't have time to run through lifestyle habits and things, then coaches, that's the new way where they will guide these ones and answer their questions. So the telemedicine is, say, someone like Anastasia is here. We've got quite a few of the girls living in Bali, but their patients are in different countries throughout the world, and they would have weekly Zooms. They may be under their care as groups. Somebody like Zoe, who was with us before, she runs Zoom group programs now, and it's all telemedicine.
So what I've also got down here, and then by the way, after this we'll go to you for questions. So if you have questions, the way we do questions, just so you're clear, is that, so obviously we're live, right? So we're live on Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook. So the questions, when a microphone comes around, will be recorded, right? So just keep that in mind. After this, when we draw the show to a close, then you'll have a chance to have maybe some more private questions, which will not be recorded, okay? And then following that, as you've come here and as an excuse for those of you at home to come in and actually be here in person, then after that you'll have an opportunity to speak to either Anastasia, Ricky, or Tracy about something that maybe might be more specific to you, all right? So just keep that in mind. No question is a silly question. Questions are great because it helps to lead us in a good direction that will give major value to you. So now, the 3 stages of treatment and healing options available. Who wants to take that one?
Tracy.
All right, okay then. So, from my perspective, I would like some indicators first, what's happening, and why the beauty of Bali. People have time, they come here. I'd like at least 10, 11 days to go on some kind of detox to clear the layers first before we go in deeper with blood testing. And then through extensive questionnaires, we can get an idea of what's happening, their dynamics, the way their body functions, and that, and we can connect them to whatever issues. Some is just for vitality, longevity, and biohacking. Others, they may have a specific disease.
Great. So to break that down, step number 1 would be give yourself 10, 11 days, get tested.
Yeah, assessment and testing.
Assessment and testing.
Yeah.
Great. Step number 2.
Well, there's some education conversation for detoxing. We need to clear what's happening because it doesn't matter who it is. Our systems are overloaded.
Great. So number 2 is detoxing, but under. I've got a few friends who say, I'm laughing. Here we are in Canggu, right? Be honest, right? People in the audience. How many people do you know or have met who says, yeah, I'm currently on a detox? Just raise your hand. Be honest, it's more than that. All right, so there's 2 people being honest. I think just about everybody knows someone who says they're on a detox. And then having a conversation with you in the past, and, and then, again, you are an incredible source of knowledge, right? So incredible source of knowledge. And then you kind of say, well, look, by doing a detox in that way, they're actually doing more damage to their body than they even realize. So there's a way to detox, is what you're saying, right? So what are some of the common mistakes that people make when detoxing? Because it's a very important stage.
Well, it runs into all sorts of conversations. Like even say like cancer. What is it? It's like the tumours. They're lumps. If you go inside, there's all toxins in there. So it's a protective mechanism. You start detoxing, and people even live raw food life for like a year or 2, they start unraveling a lot of the stuff that the body's put as a protection model. This starts floating through the body, but they haven't got it right out. We need to clear it out of the colon, out of the skin, out of the tissues, out of the brain. So there's an art to detox it in a certain order. Otherwise, these toxins can recycle and may be quite dangerous for our system. An autoimmune disease or however else.
So just actually get some feedback from you. Is that on that note, again, number 1 was about giving yourself time, getting tested, assessments. Number 2 is about detoxing the body. So, Ricky, is there anything coming up for you you'd like to put into one of those 2?
Yeah, I think the assessment is important. But what kind of assessment? Like, for example, there's this device. It's called mineral analysis. So it can detect your trace mineral level, like magnesium, calcium, all those minerals. So before you do the detox, you need to understand first what sort of minerals that is high in your body or what kind of minerals that is lacking in your body, so that the detox part is done properly. Because for some of the minerals, if you are detoxing them as well and their level is low, it can cause new issues rather than fixing the current issues. That's one my perspective.
But also, I would add that going back to nutrient deficiency, what is it? Detoxification. I think some people think that detox. It's about to have juices 7 days or fasting, but it's not actually. If we're talking about detoxification, where it's happening in the liver. There's few phases: first phase, second phase, and third phase. Actually, it's our colon and the elimination of those toxins. So first thing, you need to make sure that you're not constipated, because otherwise it just goes back to your system and also increase the toxic level. Plus, if you understand how liver works and what nutrients liver needs to provide those phases, because when the toxin goes to the liver, it goes through first phase, and the work of that phase depends on the genetic as well. But the enzymes that provide that reaction depends on the minerals, which is like magnesium, which is zinc, which is also iron. And iron deficiency is a huge problem for women right now. And if we having low iron in our system, this detoxification won't work. You can have juices, you can fast. It just increases the amount of toxins in your system, and liver won't be able to handle it. So then after that phase, the toxin supposed to go to the more water soluble form, but sometimes when that phase doesn't work well, it creates more toxic, like more harmful toxic. Then second phase happens, and the second phase depends on the protein. Different conjugation with different kind of proteins, and also methylation, which is which the methylation actually can switch on and switch off the genes. And imagine like you have good genetic, but because of your methylation doesn't work well, you can have some like problem later. And opposite, if you didn't have bad genetic, or if you have bad genetic, but keeping that all these biochemical reactions in balance, you can reduce the risk of different kind of like disease later.
You know, like people here, who's going to do a detox by themselves? No hands. It's like, you know what, this detox stuff, yeah, maybe I'll give it a miss. Or maybe I might actually go to someone who actually knows, who tests me, who gives me the right assessment, and is able then to guide me through this detox process. So I'll actually have the result that I'm looking for, as opposed to one that I'm not, right? Well, there you go. I was going to do a detox tonight. No more. So as we come to Tracy, that's number one. Number two, before we get to number three, so you got the microphone in your hand. So Dr. Raphael, we advertised to be here tonight, and he has a great like a detox story, right? A great detox history that probably is better he didn't come, because then you definitely wouldn't detox by yourself. Ever. You wouldn't do it. But he'll be here another time. So if he's watching now, Dr. Raphael, we'll see you next time. Sorry you couldn't make it tonight, mate. So now Tracy, before we go to questions, so we have these 3 steps, right? So number one, as you said, was give yourself time, 10, 11 days, get tested, get assessed, get that stuff going. Woo! Number 2, detoxification with an expert, someone who is not going to look at your body and go like, oh yeah, you need a carrot, you need a carrot fast, carrots. Someone who actually does the testing, right? The assessments, the tools, uses the science and the research to actually assess correctly where you are now. So what would number 3 be, Tracy? She's thinking, isn't she?
I'm probably going to say something else. No, I'm thinking what you were just saying. I was going to add on. Testing, educating, and treatments are normally, but this is just to get the introduction of like first step. So it takes away a layer. So then when you go further down and do more blood testing, you can actually see what's happening. But the indicators say that we would use the first level. We want to see if something's impaired. We just get an indicator, if the liver, kidneys, or lymphatics, whatever. But there's a certain order in the systems in the body that they work. So we know we need to support those. And then based on that, we get further. So we make it more cost effective. We don't test unnecessarily. Okay. We mentioned Raphael. Raphael's got amazing detoxes. What was nice for me when I originally met him, he was using all the minerals for people, and he had amazing results. People just shed weight and that because it could get inside the cells. And because of his science background, personally, he understands how the cells work. So that's what's nice. If there's any complications, that's where Anastasia comes in. She can go deeper, but at certain levels, it can be too much sometimes for people. So just to have a general start, understanding the process, and that's where Ricky comes in with all his medical experience as well, to make it like dynamic and agile, because we're all different. The other part of it, a lot of the testing that we're doing now is hormonal. That's what's being asked for, and this is thoughts, feelings, and emotions that are running our electrics. And then that's the connection part with the Health Hub, where we start connecting it with we have traumas, people with traumas. Then we've got experts that understand the psychosomatic side. To unravel the healing process, because we're talking about health.
Yeah. So Sister Ayu, maybe if you can take the microphone from Anastasia, we'll get it back and then take that to the audience. Maybe you're going to go in that way. Okay. So look, question, just put your hands up. But just before we get there, I remember we had, I love this man. He's so good. Professor Gelgel Widasuta, right? So he's an advisor to the governor for medicine. He's a toxicologist. And I remember that when he sat maybe in where Ricky's sitting now, eminent guy, Balinese through and through, love it, right? And we said to him, so And what is one of the most important, not indicators, causation. So what is one of those causes that controls body in terms of wellness, in terms of whether it's sick or whether it's happy, right? Now I was expecting, like I don't know, like a traditional answer, right? But one of the most important things, because again, I don't want to blindside anything that's been said tonight, but one of the most important things, which I was not expecting him to say, was it's your thoughts. Think about it, right? It's your thoughts. Your thoughts have got an incredibly potent ability to control what happens in your body. I mean, way beyond psychosomatic. So then when we had our trauma man we had him 2 weeks in a row because it was so important that people got this. Again, that's another hugely important factor within this whole ecosystem of health, right?
So, and while he was here with us, we did mention a Dr. Amen in America, who's probably the expert in the world for testing the brain, the functions of the brain, because a lot of what we call misdiagnosis of mental health, bipolar and that, maybe just chemistry. So this is why baselines matter. If you're getting some kind of psychiatric medicine, is it an issue with your liver, like the brain-gut connection? So this is why we want proper testing, the experts that understand, and then support there to implement it.
What a great segue, Chase. You brought it all the way back to baselines that matter. I just want to give you a hug. That was awesome. All right, so now over to questions. So over to you. And these microphones, by the way, don't work well here, but work well when you...
Yeah, this is good? Okay, great. So you've been mostly talking about not fixing symptoms, but basically preventing future disease and even like common one. But one thing I didn't really mention is what I call WSG, which is like the whole genome sequencing. So whole genome sequencing is different from the services like 23andMe, which is like only sequence 0.2% of your whole genome and is useful to basically have insight from where you're from. But like a whole genome sequencing is like basically scanning 99% of your genes, and you got a lot of informations that can be related to what research actually found for your genes and how things could unfold in the future. So do you have any opinion on WSG?
Okay. That's a very good question. We are actually having that as well at Health Hub Bali. Basically, there's the development of the whole genome sequencing right now is actually quite awesome even in Indonesia, because we have a lot of local players coming in terms of genomic lab testing. But then one thing that we found out is that they're not actually doing whole genome. So the whole genome sequencing thing is still, I think, limited now to Singapore and Malaysia. So we have one product coming from Singapore that can do lifestyle DNA testing. So for example, in terms of nutrition, your DNA can tell you what kind of nutrients or vitamins that genetically you might risk of having deficiency. And that goes a long way to something like what kind of diet works best for you. Because not everyone apparently works best for example, not everyone is suited for Mediterranean diet or low carb diet. So to each and everyone, it's different, it's unique. That's on the nutrition side of things. Fitness side of things also same. Each and everyone is different, built. Some people are built for resistance training, it's muscle training. But some people are more for endurance, like marathon, those long run. So apparently different for everyone. Skin type also. And then the newest one is actually we have the longevity DNA testing. So it can show you whether what's your chance of living like to more than 100 years? So there's the telomere length that can be checked whether whether it's normal, it's prolonged, or it's short. I think Dr. Anastasia can explain about it.
I would say that it's really important to know if it's possible. Would be great for everyone to do the genetic test, because that will really help to understand, do you have some enzymes which doesn't work proper, so you need like extra help to support that reaction, or some genes, like for example, if we're talking about vitamins, our body inside creates the active form of vitamins which goes into the biochemical reactions, and that happens because of different how our genes actually code our proteins. And some people might not have the good genetic, let's say, and just won't be able to convert that process inside. So they need, by knowing that, they can take the supplements that will include that active form of vitamin, and body doesn't need to like be overwhelmed or trying to like do that work. But also, when we're talking about genetic, we also need to talk about epigenetic, and that's actually more important to talk about epigenetic. What is it? It's how our everyday routine, food, lifestyle actually affect our genes expression. And how I mentioned before about this methylation, that really that biochemical process can switch on and switch off their genes, and we have different kind of genes, some of them oncology genes. So if that process wouldn't be in balance, it might switch on the oncology genes, so there's so many important things we need to know and think about.
Great question. Opened up a Pandora's box. We could talk about that all night, I can see. No, but yeah, did it answer your question? You're always looking.
Yeah, partially.
Partially, okay. We'll go with partially and we'll do the rest afterwards. So does anyone else have any questions? Just raise your hand. It's okay if you don't. But if you do, nagging away, but you're probably waiting for the private session, I can see. I feel
if they don't have, I have a question for them. Who did the checkup this year, like last year, for example? Anyone
never
did
did in my
checkup
life.
last year? Great. Some
You're
of
like
you.
me.
That's amazing, because that's also important thing to do every year checkup. So the main things to see how your liver works, how your thyroid works, how's your sugar level, how's your cholesterol, because high cholesterol, high sugar, it's a high risk of getting the cardiovascular disease later. So those markers can help to prevent actually the disease. So
That's what actually my next question is.
Okay.
I was wondering if there is let's say a convenient, even though like nothing's really convenient with medicine, but like an all-in-one check I can do. And do you have an idea of the price range for doing this?
I think that like on a Friday. Okay, so
that's the idea, because this is coming up so much. On a Fridays, we have like a marketplace, and what testings, anybody who understands that can explain it to you, and we can connect you. You can straight away get that type of thing done as well. Yeah.
Okay, great.
Great. So look, what we'll do, I don't think there's any more questions. So what I'd like to do, I can feel that people want to connect with you privately. So what we'll do is we'll have one final question for the panel. You've done so well. No one's reached for the tissues. Have you noticed that? Because like we have these lights on here, and we switched the fan off on purpose because a fan interferes with the microphone. But usually someone reaches for the tissue, but no one. You guys are like cool, they're like just cool, calm, and collected. All of you, wonderful. All right, good. So the final question, would be: today we spoke about baselines that matter and why they matter. So basically around this area, we spoke about those 3 steps, Tracy, which were great. So around this kind of area, like what? And I know it's very difficult because there's such a menagerie of different answers you could give and draw from different areas. So I'm asking you to find one, right? One piece of advice or something that you'd like to remind people of, right? I think I know what yours is, Anastasia. So you can't use I know. You see what I mean? But you can't use go and get tested. You can't use. You've already done it, right? So you can't use that one. So one piece of advice or guidance, or just maybe something that you wanted to say, but haven't had the opportunity to say it yet. So Ricky, I think she got it. So we'll pass it back and we'll come this way.
I think I would say and give some advice, which is very important for our metabolism to prevent the different problems with health later. It's to keep your sugar in balance. Because when we have high sugar in the blood, or low sugar, it's stress for body. It also, like hypoglycemia, creates inflammation, and hyper also creates inflammation, and all the inflammation leads to the different kind of disease, and obese and cardiovascular disease, and degenerative disease. So how we can keep our sugar stable during the day? First thing, don't skip your breakfast, or there's so many different view on that, but I would say to stabilize the sugar during the day, you need to have good amount of protein, fats, and fiber in the morning. So then the sugar would be more stable during the day. You won't have, if you're getting, because here in Bali, maybe you notice we're having so many people having, not me, the smoothie bowl for breakfast. It's high fructose. It's increased the sugar in the blood. Then what we have, after 2 hours, it drops under the baseline, and we're craving something again. And we're going, and like, oh, why I'm hungry again? And we're going to eat again because body needs to bring the sugar into the baseline. And that's where this, a roller coaster starts. I think that's very important. Thank you.
Before Ricky, people are going to say, when I come to speak on Monday, Tropical Nomad is like, I don't know, because you keep telling things that I can't have. But who here likes smoothie bowls? Put your hands up. Be honest. Be honest. Come on. So we're not saying you can't have smoothie bowls. She just did. Don't have them for breakfast. Look, I'm sorry. So Ricky, over to you.
Okay. So I'm trying to piece the wording, but basically it's like this. I'm coming from a local background, right? So for us Indonesians, talking about healthy lifestyle is not our forte. It's not something that we, even working in a hospital, I used to, whenever I see the patient list, there's a trend. If you're a diabetic patient and you're overweight, most likely in a year you'll be admitted like 2 or 3 times. And then, the numbers keeps adding up. So they won't get better. For hospital, it's good business, right? If patients keep coming back, even worse than before, I have to say it's good business for us. But then it's not okay. It's really not okay. So that is what for me, the important thing to know is basically why does Indonesian people or other people, for them it's difficult to change the lifestyle, because if it's inconvenient for us, for example, the smoothie bowl, it's not easy to get rid of smoothie bowl because someone says it's not healthy, right? That's or fried stuff, or deep fried, or rice. Come on,
That's going too far.
yeah,
Close the show.
yeah.
The rice? Come on.
But here's the thing. Actually, we can do something about it. So this is where doctors and health coaches, we work together. Doctors gave the target, right? Health coaches, we help you guys because there's a gap between the target and the current condition. And sometimes it's just, you know what? I cannot get rid of alcohol because every weekend I have to meet up with clients and everything. So there might be cheat days, right? But then they have to make up with other things. So if smoothie bowl is something that you like, so probably by end of the day, you have to reduce something on your dinner, perhaps, so that you can keep the smoothie bowl. But we can work together with the doctors to provide the goals. And us as a health coach, we will guide you and create the program that works for you. Whether that's like, to change the diet, how to maintain good sleep, or the fitness and everything. So for me, that's the important thing, is that healthy lifestyle should be enjoyable.
I think it's also important to give a knowledge, because more people know, so it's their responsibility at the end of the day. We just can help them and provide the right information and prevent, but at the end of the day they decide, do they want to be healthy and have active when you age, to be active aging. So I think
So the bottom line is, the baseline is that we're all different. Every culture is different. And just having sat in on talks on research, I think it was, like the pharmaceutical research, they found that the different cultures, even in one country, and the different bloodlines responded differently to different drugs. So it's the same with the diets. And that's, the more we get all the doctors through the world together on one platform, it's quite interesting. So we're dealing, the entry point is baselines testing, so we can see what's happening. But after that, in the storyline, we see what people's, you mentioned 23andMe, look at the history, what blood, what your DNA, what the SNPs in your chromosomes are. The people can own it. It's simple enough for them to understand why, say, a Mediterranean diet works. Or then, like I said, we had in Singapore, we had 3 different, I think it was Indian, Chinese and Malay. And even the drugs, the bodies responded totally different. The diets would have been totally different. Why doesn't one culture eat cheese? So there's an innate thing in each one of us that we know. So we bring people back to that base. We're all really unique. The baselines is that we can see if there's a tendency or an indicator towards certain things. What are the markers for that? Let's keep checking those. Let's watch some data, the patterns, when you feel good and when you don't feel good, and we can actually change the DNA. That's more of the research than the guys we're working with that have time and space here in Bali to do, and that's what they're excited to do. The other thing that will be later in the year is to do more like along the COVID line, what the impact on the cells and the body, long COVID, what's actually happening. So this is where baselines matter. There are certain tests that we can see how your body's responding to that. What else is it mutating into? This is the information that we can make a choice about and make fortify our health in a way that can actually heal and optimize, regardless of what happens to us.
Just in closing, if you haven't checked out Health Hub Bali yet, do so, right? You can find them on Instagram. As I mentioned, Pereira Nan is where you'll find them as well here in Bali. And the Friday talks go deep, right? So maybe tonight it's scratched the surface of what you were aware of. So dive in, lean in. Your health is obviously very important. The other side of Health Hub Bali is that we've also been approached and advising government now, right, on certain I won't go into too much detail, but certain hospitals, certain setups, on what are the gaps, where are the gaps, what can whole health bring to that ecosystem, and how that can be executed on a day-to-day basis. So it goes a lot further and a lot deeper than here. And me, I like to joke around a little bit because I do like to have fun. I like to keep things light. This topic can be a bit heavy for people. So I think if you're laughing as well, it's good. Right? It's a good thing. So what I do, I'm known as the partnerships and tourism architect. So I work across a whole bunch of different industries. I am that person, the bridge between foreign investment, government, and private enterprise here in Bali and Indonesia at large. And health is one of the areas which I'm involved in through Health Hub Bali and Tracy. And again, there's some incredible things happening here. So again, if something has stirred in your mind, whether you're here or whether you're at home, whether you're watching this on replay, I suggest that you lean in. Just lean in a little bit, because it's very important that on this we understand, as Tracy has mentioned, that we're all different, even in the same culture, the same country. I know that some of you are probably looking at us thinking, I love my Nalu bowls, our sponsor. Joking. Right? Or I love this, I love that. But I appreciate the answers that you've given, Anastasia, Ricky, obviously, and Tracy, who's brought this whole thing together. She's been working on this platform for 8 to 10 years. So she really is at the heart and soul of this. So thank you to you who are watching. Thank you to Tropical Nomad, Brother Guzman, Sister Ayu, who's having a Nalu bowl over there.